on behalf of our 357 students, all the faculty and staff, please receive our warmest welcome to this kickoff celebration for the 20th anniversary of the Department of Engineering and Technology. I'm Enrique Barbieri. I'm the not new anymore, but I'm the chair of the department. And I'm still quite new to the area and to the University of North Texas. I got here in January of this year. But I can tell you that the mean green spirit is very, very contagious around here. It's not too lean, but it's definitely mean and green. Now, we have faculty, staff, and students that are extremely eager and excited to see you and talk with you. So I'm just going to jump right into the schedule for this evening. I'd like to introduce Dr. Warren Bergman. He's the Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs for the University of North Texas. So that's a long title, but I wanted to highlight that he was actually Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences from 1998 to 2010. That was a college with about 20 departments or so. And engineering technology was one of those departments through 2003. So I'm happy to say that Provost Bergman is quite familiar with us, and I want to add that he's one of our strongest supporters. So, Bergman, he's going to make some.
I just know I'm going to sit out on this table. So I'm going to move over here a little bit. It's a real pleasure for me to be here celebrating 2 decades of the department. And as Enrique said, my history goes back 14 years, which is nothing like the full 20 years that we're celebrating, at least under this name. But I do go back and remember, Phil, don't run off. I want to talk to you for a second, okay? I'll tell you what, right now I'll do this. I remember the old days of the department when it was in the, what is now euphemistically called Hickory Hall. It was the ETEC building then, and it was grim. I don't know if some of you remember that. When I first started in 1998, and I got a tour through it, there were all of these welding machines that looked like they were pre-World War II. I don't think they were actually being used, but they were still there. But among the areas that were not very highly developed were some exquisite pockets of technology. And in my first months, I toured there, and Phil took me on a tour of the lab, one of the labs. I don't know if you remember this or not. I'm glad to get this out of my pants because it's been dragging me out here. But I was so impressed back in 1998. It's easy to impress a biologist with technology, I guess. But what Phil had done, his students had done rather, was make this really cool eagle out of aluminum. And I knew I had this, and it was actually in my administration office, in Hurley Administration Building. So, okay, now you can go to the bathroom or whatever. Anyway, as I said, it's a real pleasure to be here, and the reason for that is that Enrique had asked me to talk about the role of ETEC in engineering in a newer team. That's a soft pitch that he threw me, and I'll tell you what. All great universities do 3 things. They do at least 3 things, and they're all in common. The first is they do excellent undergraduate education. The second is that they integrate at the highest level master's level training and research. And the third is that they reach out to the community. They do that through meaningful education, through meaningful partnerships with companies, with private individuals, and so on and so forth. So they train great undergraduates, integrate graduates training with research, and do meaningful, relevant things to the society. And if we then think about engineering technology against that backdrop as it's celebrating its 20 years, well, we know that they do excellent undergraduate training. Now, don't take my word for it. I've met a few of you tonight. I know that many of you are the products of that excellent undergraduate training. But we also have some independent verification. Many of you probably heard of the recent accreditation for 6 years for one of the programs in engineering and technology. That's worth applauding. So we're off the hook for, what, 6 years in terms of having to worry about that particular program. So we know the high-quality undergraduate education is there. The master's programs are alive and thriving. I think particularly interesting is the link with an MBA that goes on here in terms of the cross-training, so to speak. The research we know are many of the faculty are involved in it, even as the mission is to provide this core excellent education. And then in terms of the relevance to the community, doing meaningful things that great universities do. There's probably not really, perhaps the College of Education and maybe a few other colleges, but there's not another department that does things more meaningful and relevant to the community. I was talking with one of the young alumni, I think an alumnus of perhaps 3 or 4 months. There he is at the back there. Graduated from the program here. Now he's downtown in Dallas working on a construction project for the UNT system. And he was telling me that, in fact, he works for the same contractor that is hoping to get the job when it comes to doing the student union renovation. So I guess you really can't leave UNT is the message there. But talk about meaningful and relevant things, taking the craft that all of the students have learned out into the community. And forming partnerships in terms of corporate partnerships that also involve private individuals, and in some cases the philanthropy that comes with those private individuals. That was my really subtle little line there about if you really had a good experience here as an alum, you might think about contributing back to the department. What a wonderful time to do it on the 20th anniversary. So in so many ways, ETEC just comes down in every one of those checks for the types of contributions that we look for as UNT itself tries to become one of those great universities that I was mentioning. So thank you for the opportunity to speak here. I don't think I've gotten cake off the back of my suit. I hope you all have a wonderful experience tonight, and I look forward to meeting many of you. Thank you.
All right, next, please welcome Dr. Kostas Tsatsoulis. He's the Dean of the College of Engineering. Dr. Tsatsoulis was on the faculty of the University of Kansas for about 20 years. His last appointment there was Chair of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science. But when he heard of the newly formed College of Engineering at UNT, he came as fast as he could in 2008. He was the second Dean of the college, and he's leading the way to higher heights. Please. Thank you.
We have some seats up here in front if you'd like to move here. I know that these are probably the graduates who, even when the classes were going on, they wouldn't sit in the front row. Let me also add my welcome to that of and Provost Berger. It's the most pleasurable thing for me is to see our alumni coming back, because that means that gives purpose to what we've done, and that shows that what we're doing is making an impact. The fact that you come back means also that you have a special place in your heart for UNT and for engineering technology. There is it's really interesting that when I look and I talk to some of the alumni here, you've graduated from the 40s to the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, last year or last few months ago. And during that time, UNT has changed its name. Engineering technology has changed its name, and the College of Engineering did not even exist for most of you. We're only 9 years old. But there is a thread that goes through all these years, from the 40s to now, actually from 1890 to now, that connects all the students to all the graduates, to all the alumni, and that's the quality of education. This is something that's very dear and near to our hearts, the educational, the academic experience we provide to our students. And as the provost was mentioning, this is foremost and the most important thing that we do. Generate the graduates who get the jobs, who make contributions, their own pocket, of course, but also to society. And that's why you're back, because you feel something special about this place, and I really appreciate that. Now, engineering technology, it's not only 20 years old. Engineering technology as a name is 20 years old, but I know that Enrique, we're going to have a chance to talk a little bit more about it. The contribution it's making right now to the College of Engineering and UNT are very, very important. In addition to generating students out of 4 undergraduate and 1 graduate program. And by the way, all 4 undergraduate programs are all accredited. Is also making major contributions to local industry through research and development, federal funding, and also service to the community and outreach. So it's a very important department for the College of Engineering. It's a very important department for UNT. In addition to making contribution in education and research and in outreach, as the provost was mentioning, we have now a capital campaign that's trying to raise millions of dollars for our students. And as a College of Engineering, we have a lot of engineering technology graduates. So I want to welcome you back and hope that you will be able to come back more often, look at the facilities, have a tour, have some cake, and enjoy this event. Engineers should not ad-lib. So, in whatever incarnation you studied at what is now engineering technology, whatever the name of the degree, whatever the name of the department, we're glad to have you back. We think of you as our own graduate and alumni of the College of Engineering, of the Department of Engineering Technology, and the University of North Texas. Thank you so much for being back.
Okay, I'm truly delighted to be hosting this event. I'm beyond excited. First and foremost, I want to thank some of the people that made this happen. These are wonderful members of our staff. Gina Pumphrey. She is. Donna Kane. She's Lily Walden was over there in the back. Bobby Grimes is running around there. Next, I wanted to acknowledge many alumni that replied to our invitation, but unfortunately could not be in Denton this evening. For example, Mr. Richard Kohler, class of 1968. He eventually received our invitation in the mail after at least 2 or 3 yellow forwarding stickers. There was additional postage that somebody paid, I don't know, and the addition of Sweden to the address. So that's the wonders of snail mail. Right? By the way, today is his birthday, and he's attending the Hossam Wind Energy Conference in Germany as part of his present work at Gotland University in Visby, Sweden. So happy birthday, Richard. He's having a great time over there. We have many special guests tonight. Given enough time, I would really love to read everyone's name, but at least I know that I'm going to shake your hands. We have representatives of our alumni from the 2000s. 2000s? I have a few. They're back over there. All right. We have from the 1990s. Graduates from the 90s. 1. Okay. 80s. 70s. Wow. 60s. Hold up. 50s. 40s. I would really like everybody to give a warm welcome, in particular to Mrs. Mary Beckham, class of 1949. Where is she? Okay, maybe she could not make it here yet. Mr. Pat McLeod, class of 1948.
I don't see him.
You don't see him? Okay. Mr. Edward Dawson, class of 48. Didn't make it. Mr. Perry Slack, class of 47. Not yet. Louis Thompson, class of 42. All right, so our history can actually be traced back to 1919 with the Department of Manual Arts in the College of Education at what was then called the North Texas State Normal College, where courses in cabinetry and benchwork and mechanical drawing were offered. Regional growth spurred several evolutions from the Department of Manual Arts and the North Texas State Normal College. First, we had the Department of Industrial Education in 1926. then the Department of Industrial Arts in 1939. The institution was renamed the North Texas State Teachers College in 1923, then the North Texas State College in 1949, and then North Texas State University in 1961. The next set of major evolutions came in the 80s, with the Department of Industrial Arts and Technology in the College of Arts and Sciences, and the institution renaming to the University of North Texas in 1988. Once again driven by the region's industry demands in the 90s and having to fulfill accreditation requirements by the Accreditation Board for Engineering and Technology, the Department of Engineering and Technology was created in the fall of 1992. So we are celebrating 20 years this fall. Back then, we were offering Bachelor of Science in Engineering and Technology degrees in construction, electrical, mechanical, manufacturing, and nuclear engineering technology. In July of 2003, the College of Engineering was formed. The founding departments were Engineering Technology, Computer Science and Engineering, and Material Science. Since then, the college has added 2 more departments, Mechanical and Energy Engineering and Electrical Engineering. So it's really quite a history. Now, this rich history that led to engineering technology had some very important players. There are several people that I'd like to recognize that were instrumental in bringing engineering technology to what you see today. Dr. John Richards, he was department chair during 1982 to 1993, so he oversaw the transition from industrial arts and technology to ET. Dr. Bill Grubbs, who was ET department chair during 1993 to 2006. Dr. Nuruddin Bubekri, who's here, he was department chair from 2006 to 2010. And Dr. Rick Reedy, who's back over there, professor of material science and engineering, he was interim chair during 2010 and 2011. Dr. John Richards couldn't be here with us. He was the chair from 82 to 93. But he sent us some remarks, and I would really love to read them to you. He says, regrets that I'm unable to attend the 20th anniversary of ETEC, but I'm no less elated that it's alive and well. I'm grateful for the historical chronicle of the department that was included in the invitation. It was extremely well done and very special for me. I believe that we have an obligation to know from where we've come on such occasions and to recollect. 30 years ago, I was privileged to be part of an effort that culminated in the Engineering Technology Department. It was a 10-year trek and a fortuitous chance of right place and right time, coupled with top-notch administrative support. My favorite professor while a student at North Texas State Teachers College was Dr. Jerry McCain, who's now deceased. He taught us to believe that we could do things that heretofore we never thought possible. I'm honored to have had a role in the history of ETEC by whatever name. For those of you now there, I would say only that you should trust your vision for the future and set a flexible path for its accomplishment. This is John B. Richards, Professor Emeritus, former chair of the Departments of Industrial Arts, Industrial Technology, and Engineering Technology. I thought that was very, very nice. And he has a PS. He says, not too shabby for a junior high school shop teacher. So, as you know, a complex department like engineering technology does not evolve by itself, but it is shaped by the faculty, the staff, the students, and you, the alumni. It is quite appropriate for me to quote Mr. Don Albert Bale, class of 1961. He wrote, this evolutionary development since 1919 stems from several dynamic changes in this department, all of which have stood tall and proud in the long line of top-notch educators. And I wanted to add to that, students. We strive to provide the best possible educational environment in the classroom and in the laboratories. Our students are top-notch, they are proud of their accomplishments. We want them to be community-driven, industry-engaged, professionals with the highest ethical standards, and aware of a very global society. You know, indeed, last time I checked, the world is flat. To conclude, we really, really mean it when we say that the measure of our success is when you succeed. So we measure our success by your success. We're absolutely delighted that you could join us tonight. Our future is bright. Many great things have been realized. There are many more great things that we can do, and you're cordially invited to join us so we can go there together. Thank you.